Hi there.
Okay, Jim, you're on.
Working late, huh?
Okay, welcome to the planning board meeting for December 2nd. I'm Jim Peck, I'm the chair, remote chair, I should say. I'm doing this remote, I'm by myself here, and I'm doing it remote because I'm quarantining. I just returned from California a couple days ago, so. Can everybody hear me in the room?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to dispense with the COVID-19. I think we all know that. I don't think we have anybody else on, so we don't need to read that again. Let's take a roll call. Charlene, if you're there.
I am. Jim Peck, obviously you're here remotely. Tim is here. Sorry. Lori?
Having trouble hearing you, Charlene.
Lori Millette? I'm gonna move.
Yeah, I just moved this.
Oh, okay. You can have it back. Okay, Lori Millette?
Lori is excused.
She's what?
Excused. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Excused.
Got it.
Absent, excused.
Karen Robinson?
Here.
Francine Hart?
Here.
Also remote. Jeffrey Adams?
Here.
Tom Alberti?
Here.
Greg Talon?
Here.
John Cashel?
Here.
And me. That's it, I believe.
Okay, great. Thank you all for coming. We have a pretty straightforward agenda tonight. As though we haven't done it enough, we're going to go through the zoning amendments again. Sorry I missed the last meeting. I know Tim ably filled in for me. I guess, let me ask Tim, I think we have to read these again. Is that correct, Tim?
Yeah, I don't think we have to read through the whole thing tonight.
Well, that'd be great if we don't. I don't think we
when-
need to. I just wanted to do it officially. If we don't have to read them, that's fantastic.
Yeah, when we have the actual public hearing on the amendments, then we have to read through them.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. That's good. That'll save a lot of time. I think everybody is very familiar with these. I believe there's 7. So I know there was a change to the first one. I'm not quite.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
are you going to review and approve meeting minutes first?
Oh, I'm sorry. I already screwed up and I just got back, huh? All right, let's,
California time.
yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Yeah, we need to review and approve the November 18th minutes, which I wasn't at, so I'll defer to everyone else. If you want to make a motion on that, it's pretty straightforward, so.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of November 18th.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Tim. A second from,
Second.
Karen.
okay, thank you. Any discussion? There being none, I call for, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just a minor amendment. On the very last page, it said the meeting was adjourned at 7, and I think it was adjourned at 8.
Okay,
So just a time.
sorry, I wasn't there then.
That would have been the shortest meeting on record.
Okay, Charlene, so you got that?
Yep.
Okay, so with that amendment, I'll entertain, I guess we have a motion. Let's go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Actually, we have to take a roll call. Let's take a roll call, Charlene, please.
Jim, do you need to appoint an alternate since Laurie's not here?
Right.
Oh, geez, that's 2 things I've done wrong so far. All right, let me see. How about Tom Alberti, since you piped up? Tom Alberti will be the voting alternate for tonight. Thank you.
Jet lag.
Okay, Charlene, go ahead with a roll call.
Okay, Jim Peck,
Yes.
Timothy Moore.
I can't, no, I have to abstain. I'm sorry, abstain.
I vote yes.
Okay. Karen Robinson,
Yes.
Francine Hart,
Yes.
Jeffrey Adams,
Yes.
Tom Alberti,
Yes.
Greg Talon.
Yes.
And I believe that's it for voting, right?
I don't think we need a vote from Greg on that, and I don't think we needed it from Jeff. Tom is voting, so the vote was 4-0-1. But let's now move on to the zoning amendments, and maybe I can ask Tim to explain, there was some, looks like there was another change to the first one, which has to do with the blue writing at the bottom of the page. So, Tim, if you're familiar with that, maybe can you explain what the change was apparently to that first one?
Yeah, the first one, as you know, it was footnoted, and in moving it over to the definitions, it sort of gave it a little more visibility. And comments from Denise Horrocks, our health officer, explained that some of the provisions in there, there was unenforceable or no such license or provision. So her recommendation was to get rid of all of that language and just say in accordance with New Hampshire RSA Title 30, which covers all of that same topic. So it
Okay,
brings it into
that makes
to
sense.
better compliance, and it allows the people that have the authority to enforce the licensing and certification to do so.
Okay, that seems to make a lot of sense to me. It's very straightforward, so it's just that one change. It'll look kind of bulky when people look at it, but we're basically scratching a long paragraph and replacing it with something simple. That makes sense to me. Does anybody else have any comments on that?
No.
Okay, so there being none, should we vote to move this one forward? I think we probably want to do that now. I'll entertain a motion to move this article Z21-1 forward to the public hearing, which is now going to be in January. We'll talk about that in a minute.
All right, I put a motion on the floor to recommend approval of Plaistow zoning amendment Z21-1.
Okay, second, please.
Second it,
Yeah,
Karen Robinson.
Okay, I think we had a second there. I couldn't quite hear it, but any discussion on this?
well, I think the motion should be to post this for the public hearing.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think,
sorry,
yeah,
Tim.
that's,
Okay.
yeah. Okay,
Well,
great. All right, so Francine, you okay with that?
Yep, absolutely, sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
I messed up already a couple times myself. All right, let's move forward with the vote. I'll call for a vote. Charlene, again, we have to do a roll call. Go ahead.
Jim Peck,
Yes?
Tim Moore,
Yes?
Karen Robinson,
Yes,
Francine Hart,
Yes,
Tim Alberti.
Tom Alberti, yes.
You don't.
Okay,
vote on this one or
motion's
not?
500 to move that one forward. Okay, let's move on to Z21-2. This is the function hall. Again, Tim, help me out on this one. I don't think there's been any other changes since last time, so. Actually, it says another amendment will be need to be added to include this definition. Is that correct?
yes.
Yeah, we can either add another whole article, or we can amend the first article, which changed the definition of personal service business. We could make the article a little more general, saying changes to Article 2 definitions, and sort of have a two-part thing. The first one modified 220-2, which is the personal service business. Then the second one would be adding the definition of function hall. Doesn't matter to me which way we go, but
Yeah.
we do have couple choices there.
Since we already voted on the first one, we should probably just add another amendment, I would think.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So if that's the case, this particular one, Z21-2, is not that definition. It's just that, proposed amendment that we have there. Is that right? Or is Z21-2 the amendment?
Z21-2 is adding
Adding
the permitted use of function hall to the
Right.
C1
Okay, so
Danville
that
Road.
one, we can vote on that one now, and then we'll take care of the the actual definition with another amendment.
Yes.
So let's vote on Z21-2 unless there's any other comments on that. Does anybody have any comments? Okay, so I'll call for a motion on Z21-2, please.
I'll put a motion on the floor to post for public hearing the Plaistow zoning amendment Z 21-2.
Okay, second, please.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Karen. Any discussion? There being none, I call for another roll call vote. Go ahead, Charlie.
Jim Peck,
Yes?
Tim Moore,
Yes.
Karen Robinson.
Yes.
Francine Hart,
Yes,
Tom Alberti.
Yes.
All right, that passes 5-0-0. Now, should we go through the rest of them and come back to that amendment, Tim, or should we do that amendment? Because it's going to be a different number. Or should we
Yeah.
just insert?
I'll,
Sorry.
I thought I had sent out the proposed definition, but I did not, so
Okay.
I'll have that certainly for our next meeting.
Yep.
So we'd vote on it then.
Well, we have time though, and I was thinking we wouldn't need a meeting in December since we're not going to have a hearing. Or I'll ask John, do we have any applications for the 16th, the next meeting?
A couple of meetings ago, what we did was defer a date specific, 109 Plaistow Road.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the only item now. They are going before the ZBA before that date. So it depends on what happens at the ZBA, whether or not they're going to go forward. So,
Yeah.
And that's the only item scheduled
Yeah.
for that evening.
Okay. I think it's 190, I think. not
190,
109.
excuse me, yeah, 190.
Tim,
Yeah.
does this,
I saw that was going to the ZBI. I wasn't sure if they'd have time to come to us. So I guess, Tim, we would have, time to do that. And if we didn't have a meeting, Tim, how would we handle that? Because the
Right.
hearing's the 9th of January, I think.
Yeah, well, we could do it a couple ways.
We email?
Well, no. Well, it can certainly email people with the proposed language.
Yeah.
And we can, as long as it's available for people to look at before the public hearing,
Right.
Yeah.
then on the public hearing, if the board is uncomfortable with the exact language, it's still possible to make
Yeah.
changes during the public hearing, so.
Okay, well, I agree with that. I think what we should do tonight is, does anybody have any problem with working that way? It can't be that difficult just to have a definition. I mean, we may have some tweaks to it. Does anybody have any problem with handling it the way Tim just described?
No.
no.
Okay.
But Tim does
So
have a
we'll do that.
suggested
Move on
definition
to-
here, right?
Sorry?
Tim does have a suggested definition listed here?
Bottom.
Yeah,
Oh, he does, okay.
well, no, I do have a suggested definition, but I didn't,
Put in the format.
yeah.
Okay, sure.
Format.
Email it out, so.
Okay, but at least you have the suggested definition, which I've read through, and I see that as pretty good. Does anybody have any problems with that definition?
No.
Okay, so let's just proceed that way. I mean, this is a pretty simple one. We'll handle that. We'll likely have a meeting on the 16th, but we'll see. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, which is by the way, Tim, should we be talking about the voter's guide, comments at the bottom at this point? I mean, we're motioning to move this forward, but the voter's guide can always be fixed later. We don't need to dwell on the voter's guide at this point, do we?
No, not really, but,
Should be.
once the first of the year comes around, things move pretty quickly, so.
Okay.
If somebody has any
Right.
Any suggestions on the voter's guide, we should fix them now.
Yeah, you should mention them now. If we go back to the first one, I think the first one was pretty well written, 21-1. Again, if you can just glance back to that one, and as we go forward, if you see anything in these voters' guides, changes, you should bring them up tonight. Okay, so let's go on to 21-3. 21-3 is, are you in favor of amendment number 3 as proposed by the Plaistow Planning Board to the Plaistow zoning ordinance, Article 3, general provisions, by adding a new paragraph as follows. This has to do with the dumpsters. And you can read through this. I have one comment on this one. My comment is this, sometimes when you have these dumpsters and say they're sit back 10 feet from the sidewalk or the road, you can't, if you put a screen between the road and the sidewalk and the dumpster, you can still see on the end of the dumpster as you drive by, you can see. So if there's no screening to fully screen it, if you will. So I'm not sure if this wording would take care of the screening, not just from the road, or maybe that's what this means. The screening would be also anything that could be seen from the road. Francine?
Yeah, and now that you mention it too, I'm thinking that may interfere with the ability of the trash collector to get those big giant trucks in and out of there to dump the dumpster.
Yeah, well, that's true on one side of it, but if you kind of picture it, if there's something off the side, I hate to pick on Dan Poliquin's one on Main Street, but if you put a screen right on Main Street and then you put one on the south side, at least you would screen it from the south side. I know they have to get in there from the parking lot, which is the north side. I'm sorry, that's the north side.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that with this wording doesn't really fully accomplish what we want to do. We really want to, keep that eyesore, screened. Anybody agree with that or disagree with that?
Well, I mean, I think that's a good idea. The only trouble, I mean, if you sort of screen out on, really talking 3 sides, then
Right.
depending on the, nature of the drive, then there's no way for the trash removal company to empty the dumpster or access the dumpster to empty it.
Yeah. Well, I would think if it's open on one side, they can get to it, I would think. And maybe I'm wrong on that.
Does a natural barrier, could that be accepted as screening, trees or hedges or something like that?
Yeah,
That's a good question.
yeah.
It just says screening. I mean, screening, is there a definition of screening anywhere in the ordinance?
Yeah, I think if you look in subdivision or site plan, I think you see screening can be either a fence or natural vegetation or planted vegetation.
Yeah. Well, back to my point, when it says include screening between the dumpster and the sidewalk / bike path / street, I guess that would account for fully screening it. I mean, if you didn't screen the south end in my example, would that be adequate? I'm not sure what would the building inspector do if he only put a screen on the sidewalk side and nothing on the other end, and you could still see it as you drove by?
What about dumpsters that are placed 100 feet off the roadway but are still visible from the road?
I'm not sure what you mean, Jeff.
The dumpster is 100 feet away from the road but still visible
Yeah.
from the road. Does it
Well,
need to be screened?
if this is passed, you would have to have screening. The question I have is whether screening would encompass would include not just one side, but the other sides, regardless of how many feet it is from the road.
Well, then,
Maybe, maybe
what's the
I'm
point of
overthinking
screening
it.
it then?
Sorry?
No, I think it says no dumpsters used for residential waste may be placed closer than 10 feet to a sidewalk, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And must include screening between the dumpster and the sidewalk. So it doesn't matter how far back the dumpster is located.
Doesn't.
It just says you can't come closer than 10 feet, and regardless of where it is, it must include screening between the dumpster and the sidewalk.
Yeah, my only hangup is, does the word screening mean screening all the way? In other words, you can't see the dumpster no matter where you are if you're driving up the street and you can see it from one end or the other. I mean, what does screening mean? You know, what's the definition? Francine?
Are you suggesting that we should reword that language to say fully screened?
I
So
guess
that all four sides are
fully,
covered?
I think if you say fully screened, maybe put something in there about, with allowing for access by the,
Yeah, you're gonna have to. put
Uh,
something in like that.
I don't know what you call those people, waste company. Maybe you put it, so maybe I'll suggest the following language. Must include full screening between the dumpster and the sidewalk, bike path, street, allowing for access by the waste company. I'm just trying to ensure that you don't have this situation where they just put a fence up on one end and you can still see the dumpster on the other as you drive by, that's all. Is everybody okay with that change to the language?
Can we read the whole thing to make sure we get the language right?
Sure. Okay, residential dumpsters, no dumpsters used for residential waste may be placed closer than 10 feet to a sidewalk or bike path or edge of street right of way, and must include full screening between the dumpster and I put the word full before screening, between the dumpster and the sidewalk, bike path, street, allowing for access by the waste company, period. And the last sentence doesn't change. Everybody okay with that?
So again, I have, if I can drive down the street and look up the driveway that's 150 feet deep and see a dumpster, it has to be screened,
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, it has to be screened.
Right.
even if it's 150 feet off the street.
Yeah, because what Tim said is that anything, you have to be close, it can't be closer than 10. It doesn't say where the dumpster is, it still has to be screened.
So it says,
Now, if the dumpster's behind a house, obviously it can't be seen from the road, obviously you wouldn't need to screen it, but if it's in, I can't really understand whether it would be 150 feet. I suppose if you had a big parking lot.
we
you
do,
could Possibly, yeah, I see what you're saying,
it's actually more than 150 feet.
yeah. But if you just say it's screened, it doesn't matter if it's 150 feet, it has to be screened. Screen to me means you can't see it. I mean, that's what screen means. I don't think we need a definition. It's pretty straightforward.
I wasn't asking for a definition, I was just asking for the depth. Because
That's how we
it
address
appears-
that.
it has a big impact on the operation of the dumpsters, both in terms of the residents as well as the pickup of the dumpsters. Because those gates have to be cleared in order to access the dumpster for its use or emptying.
I'm not really clear on what you're saying. What's wrong with the way we have the wording here relative to what you said? I'm not really, maybe somebody else can understand what you're saying. I don't follow, Jeff.
If you're driving down the road and you look down the driveway and it's 200 feet, you can see there's a parking lot. And you can see the dumpsters from the street. You're saying that they must be enclosed or screened.
Yes, that's the way it's currently written, as Tim pointed out, yes. Do you want to change the writing to say that if it's over a certain number of feet, it doesn't have to be screened?
Potentially, yeah, because it's well over 200 feet that I know of, a circumstance, but you can still see it from the street. Now, if you're driving by at the speed limit, you're going to see it in a blink, but it can be, it's visual or visible from the street.
Could that
So what are you
dumpster be
suggesting we
screened?
change here to my, I already amended it. Do you want to amend it again to put some sort of,
I'm just bringing up a point that there's a lot of variables that it makes it difficult, because you add in screening and then you add in access difficulties because they have to be gated in order to have the dumpsters accessible for pickup.
that's why I put allowing for access by the waste company. They would allow for access. I think most of these people understand what this is. I've seen these dumpsters out there and people put barriers around them, and they're nice barriers and they have gates, and the waste companies get to them and it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I don't think the intent is to block access by the users or the trash hauling companies. It is to just
Not at all.
simply aesthetically.
Understand that's not the intent, but the intent of blocking them means you have to take the steps or the function of it, screening it, and also making it accessible. Because the way the dumpsters are emptied is from the front, which is facing the street. So the dumpster company has to come in and now open the gates to get access to the dumpsters. In order
That's
to
what they
empty
do
them.
in a lot of these places. They have to open the gates that have these gated. If you drive around town, there's not a lot of dumpsters that are actually exposed. Most of them have these gates around them, and they
That's
don't
why-
put them necessarily in the front. They put them in the side.
That's
The
why I'm
ones that
asking
are
the
picked up on Main
location of the
Street, I don't think
dumpsters.
they access them from the front. They access them from the side. The ones on Westville Road, they access from the side.
That's why I'm saying it's so far
Again,
back.
do you want
in
to
the
make
back.
an adjustment to the zoning amendment, Jeff?
That's why I'm asking about making an adjustment so for the distance from the roadway, that they would be exempt from that requirement if they were 300 feet back.
Okay, I'm open to that. I mean, is 300 the right number? You said initially 150, then 200. Do you think, I'm not sure what the right number is.
I don't either.
Personally, I don't think you need to put that, because I think they all should be screened if they can be seen from the street.
Right.
My opinion.
I agree with that.
Anybody else want to weigh in? Betsy?
I think Tom's point about aesthetics is well taken, and I think we do need to take a serious look at the way our town physically looks, especially to people that are coming into town. So I would support that, but I guess my question to you is, if this zoning amendment passes, my question is, does this become effective immediately, or any properties grandfathered, or how does this work?
I guess I'd defer to Tim. I thought last time it was said, or somebody said if people didn't have them, we can't enforce it unless they put a new one in. I don't know. I hope they can enforce them on existing ones, but I'll defer to Tim and John on that question.
Yeah, I mean, typically zoning, they make changes going forward for new or redeveloped properties. So you can't.
Betsy?
No, go ahead, finish, Tim, because I just wanted to point out that we're gonna have a new trash vendor in July. So does that imply that, okay, everything's okay until July 1st, and when we get a new vendor, we get new dumpsters, and now we have to have all of these properties put their screens up?
No, I don't think it's independent of the vendor.
Okay, all right.
The thing would be if the apartment complex was sold or made some physical change, so they'd have to come back before the planning board with a revised site plan of some kind.
All right,
Otherwise, things are typically grandfathered. Now,
Okay.
I mean, the exception would
okay, I
be
understand.
if there was some impact on health and safety, then those, get a little higher priority. But I think it would be a little bit of a stretch to say the location of a dumpster impacts health and safety.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the answer on the grandfather. It's unfortunate it's that way, but I can see reasons why it should be that way. So if you're gonna make a change like this, you kind of have to put it in, and as time goes on, things change. Sometimes when you make a zoning ordinance change, people or property owners will comply with it even though they don't need to. For example, when we went to prohibiting mulch at commercial businesses, I know that, the Home Depot area, that Bed Bath and Beyond and Staples, they replaced them with rocks and they didn't need to do it. So I think we should still move forward with this, even though it's not, their grandfather. So Jeff, do you want to make a proposal on a footage? You're welcome to do it.
So footage as far as what? The,
Yeah,
I
screening.
thought you said you wanted to add, if it's beyond a certain number of feet, that they wouldn't.
I didn't want to add it. I
Screen.
was asking for clarification on it.
Okay. All right, well, I'm just asking whether you wanted to amend what we had. Otherwise, if you don't, we'll just go ahead and vote. I think, do we have a motion on the floor? I can't remember.
No.
All right, I'll take a motion. Francine, you're doing a great job. Anybody else can make a motion, but go ahead, Francine.
All right, I'd like to put a motion on the floor to post for public hearing, the Plaistow zoning amendment Z21-3,
As amended.
as amended, yes, sorry.
I'll second
So
it.
I'll ask for a second.
Second,
Okay, Charlene, roll call?
Jim Peck,
Yes?
Timothy Moore,
Yes?
Karen Robinson,
yes.
Francine Hart,
Yes,
Tom Alberti.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That vote is 500 for the record. 21-4, are you in favor of amendment number 4 as proposed by the Plaistow Planning Board to the Plaistow zoning ordinance, Article 10, home occupation, by adding the Village Center District, DC, to the list of zoning districts that permit certain uses as follows? And I'm not going to read all the way through this. You can see we've talked about this 3 or 4 times. So unless anybody has any objections, I'll entertain a motion to move this one forward.
I'll make a motion, we post
Anybody other
Z,
than Francine can make a motion too.
I'll be quiet.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion, we post Z21-4 for a public hearing.
Thank you, Tim. And a second, please.
Second,
All right, thank you. Any discussion? There being none, I call for another roll call vote. Charlene?
Jim Peck,
Yes?
Timothy Moore,
Yes?
Karen Robinson,
yes.
Francine Hart,
Yes,
Tom Alberti.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 500. Okay, we move on. Oh, by the way, does anybody have any changes to the voter's guide on that one? Again, just type up if you do. Okay, we'll move on to 21-5. Zoning amendments Z21-5. Are you in favor of an amendment number 5 as proposed by the Plaistow Planning Board to the Plaistow zoning ordinances, Article 3, general provisions, motor vehicle and trailer sales, fee schedules as follows? And you can read that fee schedule. So again, we've discussed this, I don't want to say ad nauseum, but we've discussed it many times. So if anybody has any comments, speak up, but otherwise I'll entertain a motion from anyone, including Francine.
I'll make a motion, we post Article Z21-5 for public hearing.
Call for a second.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? There being none, I ask for another roll call vote. Charlene?
Jim Peck,
Yes.
Timothy Moore,
Yes.
Karen Robinson,
Yes.
Francine Hart,
Yes?
and Tom Alberti.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. We're doing really good. We're at 5. I think we only have 2 left. This might be a
I'd like to
good
make a
place
comment.
to raise, Karen, you had mentioned to me you wanted to move this one, C3, to the last one. In other words,
Yes.
move 21-6 to 21-7 and just flop them so that C3, the C3 amendment here would go as the last numbered zoning ordinance.
Right, correct.
Okay. So does anybody have any objection to that? I mean, I'm sure Dee can do that very easily. But we can, so this will be now 21-7. So I'm not going to go all the way through this. Karen, I'll open it up to you, Karen, and let us know if there's been any changes since last week when you guys, last meeting, when we discussed it. I don't think there's been any changes, but Karen, go ahead.
No, the only one that we did go over was that we eliminate the, it's not on here now, the vehicle, what was it?
Right, we took that off.
Yes, we took that off, and that is off. So that was the major change I had. I don't believe there were any other changes.
Is that right,
18.
Tim?
Is that correct, Tim?
I think so, yeah. I think this is the list.
Okay, well, this could be very simple. I'll entertain a motion from maybe Karen to
Yep.
pass this one. We'll call it 21-7. And
Okay,
it's
we'll call it that.
as written here, but it's 21-7.
Yep. So I move that we post for the public hearing, Z 21-7.
Thank you. A second, please.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, another roll call, Charlie.
Jim Peck,
Yes?
Timothy Moore,
Yes.
Karen Robinson,
Yes.
Francine Hart,
Yes?
Tom Alberti.
Yes.
Okay, great. Motion passes 5-0. We're on a roll here. Now we're going to the next one, which I'm having trouble finding the actual first part of this. My copy, after the voter's guide for the last one we just did, you turn the page and it says Z1 mixed use district. Is there supposed to be a separate zoning amendment with that, Tim? I don't see
Is
it
that
here.
numbered 6? Or will that be now number 6?
Yeah, it would be number 6. Yeah, it looks like something got jumped
missed.
off there.
Right.
The actual amendment at the top, the blurb, doesn't seem to be there.
Right.
It's not.
Oh,
So do we need to put that in?
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a copy of that, Tim, or is it missing?
I don't have a copy of it. I imagine it's very close to the one we just did, but, kind of starts the same. Are you in favor? You have it, Tim? Maybe you can read it.
Yeah, actually, I don't.
Okay.
Isn't it the C1 overlay district, the table? Isn't that part of it? That's
What
what I
I'm
have
looking
here.
for is it's, proposed amendment. Are you in
Right.
favor of amendment number 7?
Right.
Oops.
No,
Number
number 6
6,
now.
I'm sorry.
Right.
So the first part of it would be, are you in favor of amendment number 6 as proposed by the Plaistow Planning Board to the Plaistow zoning ordinance? What article would it be, Tim?
That's what I wanted.
Well, it would be, I guess, 6.
Article 6?
Mixed-use overlay district, right?
But that would be 6.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mixed.
the other one is 7.
Yeah, so, I guess what I would recommend, is we, if we're gonna meet on the 19th,
16.
or 16th, that we make sure that language is in here for
Yeah.
the 16th.
Okay.
And vote then.
Yeah, it's just tidy, it's just putting in that technical language at the
Putting that
top there
page
that
in,
just,
right.
you know, says what we're amending. The rest of it is here in front of us. And I agree with that, Tim. So does anybody have any objections? We've talked about this many times. I think we're good with the verbiage here. I do see a couple of minor red ink changes, but if nobody has any, does anybody have any discussion items on the body, if you will?
No, since we're only missing the procedural aspect of this one, can we just vote
Yeah.
on it conditionally upon adding the proper
Yeah.
language for the
I
amendment?
suppose that's a good way to do it. So why don't you make that motion and a condition that we'll have that preamble, if you will.
Okay, would you like me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
I vote that I
Post for the,
post that we vote on this amendment conditionally upon adding the procedural language to the,
It would be zoning amendment Z 21-6.
6.
for Z 21-6.
All right, okay, that's a good motion, and
I'll second it.
I'll take a second. Anyone?
I second it. Karen?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Karen. All right, another roll call. We're doing good on roll calls. Go ahead, Charlie.
Jim Peck,
Yes.
Timothy Moore,
Yes?
Karen Robinson,
Yes.
Francine Hart,
Yes,
Tom Alberti.
Yes.
Okay, great, 500. If I'm not mistaken, the only one we're missing now is, well, tidying up that one and then going back and getting that definition, Tim, is that right?
That's right.
Okay. All right, that was pretty easy, right?
Well, the only other
And you
thing,
know something?
the only
I
other
don't
thing,
really have anything else. I have a couple of minor things, but that can wait. Tim or John, do you have anything else for us?
A couple of items. Did everybody get a copy of the legal notice, the draft legal notice?
yep,
You know, Dee wanted me to make sure I pointed out tonight that we do need to post in the newspaper 10 days prior to the meeting, and that doesn't include the day of the meeting nor the day of posting. And
Right.
there's 5 days of lead time that the public hearing notice actually has to be at the newspaper.
Yeah,
So you're really talking 15, 16 days that we have to have, you know, the final draft of the public hearing notice, you know, ready to go. January 6th, if you want me to continue real quickly, everybody did get a copy of the 2021 SB2
Yep.
schedule.
yep.
yes. I was going to mention that, but go ahead, John.
Yeah, so we're in really good shape. We don't have to have the public hearing as we scheduled earlier for these amendments on December 16th. We can go to January 6th, and that will give us actually plenty of time if we, for whatever reason, needed to have a second public hearing, which I don't think anybody would be anticipating that happening. So we can have the initial and perhaps one and only public hearing for all of these zoning amendments on January 6th. And the last day to actually hold the last public hearing for any proposed zoning amendments, that would be Monday, January 25th. So we meet in January, on January 6th, and then we meet again on, hold on one second. We meet again on January 20th. So we'll have plenty of time to make sure that we have all the hearings necessary in the event we have to have 2 public hearings, again, for any reason. And we'd be
Right,
done.
the only other thing I was going to ask was, I noticed on the town meeting calendar that on Wednesday, December 9th, which is a week from today, is the last day to accept petitions to amend zoning ordinances. And I'm assuming that you would have mentioned already that we have any petitions, but if anybody's watching, that's the last day. So it's possible, but very rare that you know, some citizens would want to propose a petition zoning ordinance amendment, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that would also fit into the schedule. We'd be able to publish that for a public hearing for January 6th.
Right. I don't know of anybody who's working on any petitions. I doubt it very much. Does anybody know of any? I don't.
Greg has something to say.
Greg has his hands.
Greg has his hand up.
Jim,
Who? Greg, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
no problem. The last article that you approved, was there a voter's guide description for that? Did that also get left out?
Yes, no, that was there.
Good question. I don't see it.
Yeah, it's not there. I was going to mention that, so.
Oh, it's not, you're right.
Yeah, it would be nice to have that, Tim, next time.
Yep.
The voting, yep, okay.
Good catch.
Thank you.
What else, John? Did you want me to say something else on the calendar? Is that we all set there?
Voter's guide, right,
I'm all set there.
Okay.
voter's guide.
I only had, I was gonna mention the calendar and then, I wanted to mention, every year the planning board chair writes a report for the town report, the 2020 town report. So I had the honor of doing that for the first time, and I did that, and I ran it by Tim. And so I have it written, and I've sent it to Dee. It's, we're supposed to be in by the 5th. I got a little in early. So if anybody wants to see it, I didn't bring a copy for everybody to look at. It describes what we did during the year, new members and so on and so forth. If you want a copy, just let me know. I'll give you a copy of it. But that has been submitted to DeVos for the 2020 town report.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else?
One more thing, Jim?
Yeah.
Just real quickly, just so everybody does know, Dee and I were able to go over the language of all of these zoning ordinances with Attorney Cleary. Was everybody aware of that?
Yep,
So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so all of these amendment languages that were proposed, including the striking of that major
Paragraph.
footnote paragraph, that's all been vetted by Charlie Cleary, and everything else
Yeah.
was pretty much left the same with a couple of amendments. But those are all within the text that we dealt with tonight.
Right, and I'm assuming the change that we made to the dumpster thing, he doesn't need to look at that, does he?
No.
Okay,
and
good.
changing
Much as
the,
we would like to pay him some more, fine. That's good that he reviews them, he knows what he's doing, so we're in good shape there. I did also want to, I guess I should mention that I met with the new building code enforcement officer, Mr. Blanchett. Peter had a nice discussion with him. He seems like he's hit the road and, running. And he's already, I noticed on 1/3 Main Street, if you drive by that, that's been all cleaned up. There was a mess out there. Even though the buildings are in bad shape, he did get them to clean that up. And we did hear, John, maybe you can comment on, is it 71 Plaistow Road? Sounds like possibly the end of a 5-year nightmare there, and those cars may be finally taken out of there. Is that right, John?
That is correct. That is correct. That was a
That's
very
great.
long and winding road, but should be coming to an end. Mr.
Okay, so
Chair,
we won't have to ask where that stands each meeting. Okay, does anybody else have any other thing? This has been fun doing it from my back room here, and my little dog sleeping in my lap and whatever.
John,
Jim, I have one more thing.
Sure.
Okay. Just so all planning board members realize, the Newton project,
oh,
125 development, some time ago now, the applicant tried to submit an application. They did not submit a fee with that, and we could not ascertain, Dee and I working on this, whether or not it was an actual application. They did not submit a complete application, did not submit a plan that we could figure out what type of plan it was, whether it was an A&R or a subdivision plan or a site plan. I was going to say A&R, but that's for the place down south. So it was an incomplete application, and it included no fees. So I ended up writing a memo, and I'll make everybody or give everybody a copy of that. I wrote a memo to the applicant explaining exactly what they needed to do to submit an application for the planning board to review relative to acceptance and action on an application. And I have not heard back from them. They have not submitted anything to date. I did hear that the applicant has expressed to Newton officials that they have submitted an application to Plaistow, but that's not the case. And I want that to be everyone's understanding. We do not have an application before us for any type of land use development in Plaistow right now concerning that particular development.
Okay, Francine?
So would that be important for us to submit that, a memo to the Newton Planning Board informing them of that?
Yes, we're in communication with them,
Okay.
the administrator of their planning board, as well as the regional planning agency. So there's been communication back and forth in that regard. But I gave the applicant the fee schedule and a step-by-step process of what they need to do in order to formally submit an application, and whatever that may be, site plan, a special permit, or a subdivision plan. So, and we have not received anything to that effect.
Good.
Okay. Anything else from anyone? All right. So being done, I'll close the meeting at 7:23. Thank you all. Have a good holiday.
You too.